Monsieur le Président, en réponse au rapport cinglant du vérificateur général, les conservateurs ont tenté d'induire les anciens combattants et leurs familles en erreur. Ils ont dit que les 200 millions de dollars qu'ils ont promis pour les anciens combattants seraient dépensés sur une période de 6 ans. Mais nous savons maintenant que l'argent sera dépensé sur une période de 50 ans. 50 ans, Monsieur le Président. Comment le gouvernement peut-il défendre un tel subterfuge?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary for Veterans Affairs.
Mr. Speaker, we take not only mental health of our veterans very seriously, but also members of the Canadian Armed Forces, members of their families, Mr. Speaker. This is why we announced an investment last Sunday of 8 new additional operational stress injury clinics, Mr. Speaker, the major one being Halifax and the other satellite offices right across this country. Mr. Speaker, this is in addition to 13 operational stress injury clinics that we have already implemented since taking office. Under the Liberals, Mr. Speaker, there were only 4. There will now be 25, Mr. Speaker.
The Honourable Member for Markham Unionville.
Mr. Speaker, in its own press release, the government spoke of, quote, providing an additional investment of approximately $200 million over the next 6 years, end of quote, when in fact the investment is over 50 years. We know the government is ashamed of this paltry $200 million over 50 years attempt to mislead the veterans. Why else would the website announcing the program have disappeared from the internet? How can the government explain these actions?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, the reason we're investing millions of dollars into veterans' benefits and services and mental health is because this side of the House, Mr. Speaker, we take the issue of mental health services very, very seriously when it comes to our veterans. Mr. Speaker, exactly why we're obviously putting more operational stress injury clinics right across this country, Mr. Speaker, more healthcare professionals, Mr. Speaker, more places for veterans and still serving members to get help, Mr. Speaker. We're expanding the treatments right across this country, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Honourable Member for Markham Unionville.
Mr. Speaker, we can clearly see how much this matters to the government. The Veterans Affairs Minister hasn't answered a single question, not one, all week. Once they got caught trying to deliberately mislead veterans, the Conservatives deleted the website announcing the program, and the minister's office went silent. How can Canadians and veterans trust anything this government says when they will clearly say anything to try and stop the damage?
The Honourable Parliamentary Secretary.
Mr. Speaker, of course, we all know the record of the opposition when it comes to standing up for Canada's veterans, and any initiative our government bring forward, Mr. Speaker, to help Canada's veterans, the opposition has opposed, Mr. Speaker. We will continue to invest when it comes to veterans' benefits and services, and exactly the reason, Mr. Speaker, why last week we announced 8 new operational stress injury clinics right across this country, Mr. Speaker. So there are more places for veterans and their families to get the help that they need, Mr. Speaker.
Right on.